and welcome to this week's In Conversation, in which I talk to people from the exciting and dynamic cybersecurity scene in the northeast of England. My name is Phil Jackman and I lead on CyberNorth, Dynamo Northeast Cybersecurity Cluster, supported by both Accenture and the Innovation Super Network, and we're eternally grateful for both those organisations for helping us to put this on. We're part of the UK Cyber Cluster Collaboration, or UKC3, and recognised by the Department for Culture, Media and Sport and the National Cybersecurity Centre as representing the region. Today, I'm joined by Iqra Haq, Cybersecurity Analyst at Celerity Limited. Hi Iqra, how are you doing?
I'm not too bad, thanks. How are you?
I'm doing great, thank you. So, can we start telling us a bit about yourself and your role at Celerity?
Yeah, absolutely. So I recently joined Celerity because I just graduated from university, and I joined as a cybersecurity analyst. I'm still pretty new to my role, but I've been delving a lot into security as a whole in terms of the architecture at Celerity. So I work in the Security Operations Centre, and I also dabble a little bit in the Networks Operations Centre as well. And I've done things such as simulating phishing campaigns just to get a bit more of an awareness of how the phishing dynamic is and the prevention mechanisms that we have in place at Celerity. I also go on the other side of things and I look into more security policies as well, and if we can look into developing that with the current trends in cybersecurity. We also do vulnerability assessments as well, not just for Celerity, but for Celerity's clients too. So it tends to range in terms of practical elements towards report writing as well. But overall, it's been a pretty good experience so far.
Excellent. Sounds like a very interesting and varied job. But I know you, as you said, you've only been at Celerity for a little while. So can we go back to your time at college? What attracted you to computing and how did you end up doing that master's degree?
Well, funnily enough, I didn't have much of an intention going into cybersecurity at the beginning of my university years. I kind of did like the ICT route from high school to college because they didn't really have computer science at school before 2016, which was around the time I was at school. And then they put in this reform to put computer science in because ICT was more general in terms of this is how you use databases and this is how you use applications. And then computer science kind of made it a bit more technical in terms of, okay, this is how you create a database and this is how you create software. And that kind of sparked an interest in me. And so I ended up actually going down a bit of, I wonder what it would be like if I applied for computer science instead. And so I went away and I did a whole bunch of research in computer science because I knew I liked computers and I knew I liked technology. I just didn't really know where I wanted to go from there because I was just really finishing high school and it was a pretty big decision of what do I want to do for the next 4 to 5 years. So I sort of went away and I had a bit of a look and I did really like the idea of computer science and I wasn't too sure where I wanted to go. So I thought maybe if I applied for computer science, it would be pretty cool. And then I think around the time I wanted to also just look into different trends in the news and things like that and just see um, the demographic of computer science as a whole. And the more I researched, the more I realized just how big the field is. You've got things like artificial intelligence and operating systems and computer networks. And I thought the thing that stood out to me most, funnily enough, ended up being the cybersecurity route, mainly because it's always in the news. There's always another attack going on here and there. And I'm pretty sure there's even a website that can tell you how many websites are being attacked every day. And I just thought it's such a huge field. And I think what mesmerized me was the amount of potential that there is when it comes to cybersecurity. And so I originally applied for the computer science route. And then once I got my grades in, I think it struck me that I really want to go down the cybersecurity route, and that was also around the time that ransomware became massive, especially WannaCry, and so I think that appealed to me a bit more that want and that need for more cybersecurity people.
Excellent. I mean, there's such a huge opportunity. We need so many people have different skills and different interests in it. But
Absolutely.
You went on to do your masters, and while you're studying for that, presumably you were working. How did you manage to fit it all in?
Honestly, it was a bit of a struggle because originally I didn't even have like a side job that was computing related. I would work in a call center whilst managing my university studies. And so it was a bit difficult trying to juggle the two. And I think that's where my soft skills really came into play. I had to sort of deal with time management as well as project management. And juggling my time really made me realize just how much I valued wanting to pursue a cybersecurity career in a sense. And so I would also do what I could to try and apply where I could for any sort of small part-time cybersecurity gig, even if it was just something like a summer internship of sorts. I thought it would be good because it wouldn't feel like work in a sense. It would just feel like something that's contributing to my education and to my career development as a whole. And so that's kind of where I went into the NEBRC route. But ultimately, I think it was really beneficial just working in general because not only was I not only did I have like an academia route, but I also had that business knowledge and that working environment route too.
Yeah, so a lot of companies say to me, what they really need is people who understand business as well as cybersecurity, not just one or
Yeah.
the other. But you've kind of already answered my next question, which was about when you specialize in cyber, which was quite early on. Is it living up to your expectations?
Yeah, definitely. If anything, it keeps exceeding my expectations. Uh, Technology is so rapidly growing. Like the idea that we have wireless networks and now we've got cloud computing and artificial intelligence and the Internet of Things. I'm constantly learning these new technologies, and the fact that I have my academia cap on that I've used for about 4 or 5 years now, the fact that I have my master's knowledge as well of being able to research and develop my skills further, and to sort of fine tune that better, and then to also have my business cap on as well and realize that I need to be able to find a way to make it almost like a balancing act so that I can develop not just myself, but the businesses and the people that I help work with and work for.
That's really refreshing because you need to work on developing yourself. It's something that most people forget about. But let me tell me a bit about your internship at Nissan. How important was that in helping to understand how business works and the application of cybersecurity in business context?
Yeah, absolutely. Nissan was definitely an eye opener for me because when I was at university, um, I would I was in a bit of a slump where I'd be like, I'm learning all these different technologies and I'm learning how a certain attack works and how you can prevent a certain attack, but I don't have anywhere to actually apply that. I don't have anywhere to actually enforce that knowledge further in a practical element. And so when the opportunity to work in an internship came up, I sort of jumped at the chance because I was wanting to see if I could even utilize what I was learning. And so Nissan was a massive opportunity for me. And I think the idea that not only was it an element that I could work in, but the fact that it's a multinational corporation as well, the fact that they have so many different elements that they work in, the fact that they even have a dedicated security operations team gave me that edge and that push to want to develop myself further in, I guess, a business setting. And there's a lot of things that you can't really teach yourself and you can't really, I guess, prepare yourself for, like the idea of having to deal with red tape within businesses when it comes to enforcing security principles and policies, as well as dealing with, you know, for example, if ever there's a massive attack on the horizon, be it WannaCrime ransomware, how to deal with that in a massive business setting with different teams and collaborative working, as well as having to deal with certain fundamental principles, like even something as simple as like a redundancy, and realizing that you're going to have to deal with certain elements of, in a sense, pressurizing work settings as well as comfortable work settings. It's not really something one can teach, but going through that experience was definitely eye opening for me. And the fact that I went through that experience, in a sense, gave me that confidence to know that I can do it again.
Excellent. I mean, I think Nissan's a perfect example of a significant cybersecurity presence that's not in a cybersecurity company. They're clearly not. They're a motor company. But
Yeah.
there are many others around the region, and that's why it's always so great to talk to people who've been through that experience. But I was introduced to you by Martin Wilson, a good friend of mine from the Northeast Business Resilience Centre. Tell us a bit about the NABRC and how you got involved.
So the Northeast Business Resilience Centre is still a fairly new company, actually. It was set up around the time I was in university, around the time I was finishing my bachelor's year actually at university. And the NABRC was established to essentially get cybersecurity students working with the police essentially, and it's a non-for-profit organization. And what we try to do is we would essentially try to bridge the gap of cybersecurity for small to medium enterprises who do not have the luxury of having their own dedicated security operations center or security operations team. And so my role mainly comprised of getting information out there whilst also keeping up with the latest cybersecurity trends for small to medium enterprises. And this would range. Like we could potentially have individuals who had little to no technical experience whatsoever to individuals who had a lot of technical experience. And so a lot of the times what we did was build that cyber awareness for folks who didn't really have that coming in and who were more keen on developing their business rather than their security awareness. And something that I really learned at the NABLC was just how important cybersecurity is as a whole for any and every business. And I think it was an incredible opportunity because with the Northeast Business Resilience Centre, it helped me understand the urgency of not just cyber threats for businesses, but cybercrime as a whole, and the different, in a sense, motives and means that cyber criminals go to, and the extents that they go to essentially to try and harm businesses, and the fact that there are certain businesses out there who don't even see that coming, and the fact that we can bridge that gap and essentially help build communities better. And yeah, it was a really refreshing experience for me.
Yeah, I mean, I'm involved with the NEBRC, and I think it's a fascinating opportunity to build a market in companies that aren't aware of what the threat is and what's available then to help. So you moved from there to Celerity. How did the experience at NEBRC help you to get this role at Celerity?
Well, the difference between Nissan and NEBRC in a sense is with Nissan, it's a much bigger company. And so as a student, I didn't get to have as much leeway to things I wanted to look in and do, given the fact that there was much more red tape from a multinational corporation, which is understandable. But then with NEBRC, I had a bit more freedom to provide what I had learned from previous experiences, as well as use my 3 to 4 years of experience in academia. And I was also able to have a more of a practical element in a sense as to performing more vulnerability assessments and looking more into cybersecurity trends and providing more of an understanding in a sense of what I'd learned over previous years. And I was also able to learn about the different ways in a sense others who had joined NEBRC had had their cyber journey in a sense. I mean, the idea that Martin was doing a master's at the time, which I think he's actually just finished up, and the insight that he could provide, as well as other students from other universities, I think it was incredible. Just not only providing what I had learned, but learning from others as well.
Yeah, so it's a very much community feel, isn't it? Perhaps a
Yeah.
great opportunity to be a bigger fish in a smaller sea, and that's great. So we need greater diversity in the sector. It's something that we're thinking about for quite some time. And so how can we encourage more young people from all sorts of backgrounds into the industry?
Honestly, for me, the things that sparked the most were these opportunities that kept coming my way. For example, the fact that I could even apply to Nissan made me want to apply at Nissan, and the fact that Martin Wilson did that one talk at my university supposedly, and the fact that I signed up for that, I think just having those little doorways for people to knock on and walk through and having different opportunities set up, I think just even something as simple as a talk like Martin did can really open the door for some people. And something that I've definitely been dealing with, not just throughout my academic years, but definitely throughout my working years, even though they're very minimal, is that idea of imposter syndrome. The fact that I feel like I don't know enough for the why would I want to apply to this? I've read the requirements, it doesn't really feel like me. But I feel like if you aim at nothing, you'll hit nothing. So the idea of having these opportunities available, even if it's just talks, even if it's a little scheme like the Cyber First scheme for teenagers in school, things like that, I think really help provide that edge for people, especially for young minds, to think, oh, wow, maybe I can do this.
Excellent. Because so Philip Anderson, which I presume you know from Northern University,
Yeah.
he's working on our Cyber First program as part of CyberNorth. So that's really refreshing. I'm not going to tell you how old I was, but it was 1976 when I went to school, and I still suffer from imposter syndrome. So I think it's very honest of you to come on that. So my last question to you, Iqra, if you don't mind. This has been a very challenging year, and it looks like we're getting back to some sort of normality. Who knows? What are your hopes in terms of the future?
I hope that we can learn a lot from our history. I think something that I've definitely learned over the years is that especially people who don't have that cybersecurity mindset or just even that awareness of cybersecurity and how easy it can be to attack infrastructures. I hope people can learn, especially people higher up, people who have the power to make that change, to be a bit more open-minded and to be a bit more to have a bit more of a preventative measure than a reactive measure, I suppose, because no one really saw this pandemic coming. And people who are ready tend to be people who expect the worst, if you know what I mean, but prepare for the best. And so if there is anything that I've learned from this, it's essentially to never stop learning, to never stop trying to hone your skills and your abilities, and to just see what's around the corner and to just keep reading up on different things here and there. And even if I feel like I don't know everything, I can still try to do what I can to know as much as I can. So, yeah.
Well, that's really good. It's such a diverse and it's such a rapidly changing industry. There's always something to learn. Well, thanks very much for that, Iqra. That was really, really good. I'd also like to thank Robert Campbell, who's helped me to set up these In Conversations. Look out for the next in this series. And of course, I'll see you at Cyberfest, which is going on right throughout September. Thanks very much, Iqra.
Thank you.
That was genius. Brilliant.
Oh,
Thank you
that was really fun, actually. Well,
that was In Conversation with Phil Jackman, lead for CyberNorth. Audio and video production was by me, Robert Campbell. This was a Team Funds production for Dynamo Northeast.